Hey guys, it's Natural Juan here, and yeah, this is actually the real me, and you know how I look. Yeah, but I just wanted to make this video because people asked me to make a reaction video about the recent spat between President Zelensky of Ukraine and President Trump of the United States. And to be honest, I don't really want to get involved that much because first of all, I'm just an ordinary Filipino. I don't know that much about what's going on about geopolitics. I'm just some guy. I Everything I know about that is mostly just what I see on the internet. So, yeah, it might not be that accurate or that sure. And yeah, I'm not going to go with the usual disclaimers for this video because yeah, I'm going to be a little honest here, and I'm not very happy with what happened, and might not have to do much with the overall geopolitical atmosphere in the world today. I know it's tense. I know that Ukraine is fighting a desperate battle against Russia and it's losing. And that's why Zelensky came to the United States in the first place, because he wanted to, negotiate with Trump and maybe get something done to help his people, which is completely understandable. And then there's people who are saying that America shouldn't get involved or should help minimally and just cut a deal with Zelensky because America has its own problems, which is also understandable. But this is where I think somebody should say something. In all honesty, it was too harsh on Zelensky. I know that Americans, so to speak. Well, anyway, the only reason why I care so much about American issues is I was raised American. Hey, hold on just a minute. See here, this is my grandfather, and he was an American, and he was my hero. So to me, issues with America, I usually hear about it one way or another. But the thing that happened here was, I really think they were disrespectful to Mr. Zelensky, and I'm going to show you why. Number one, they didn't have to televise it. They didn't have to, have all the press seeing them and everything. I mean, even in my previous place of work, there were protocols to follow. Like, if there would be a hearing for an employee and they needed to, either create a disciplinary action for that employee or have them laid off, there's usually a supervisor or a team leader that will accompany that employee, and then they will face the human resources and they'll talk it over in private, in a private conference room where everyone else is discouraged from even approaching that. I remember that whenever they had to get people to discuss the potential fate of an employee, the actual guard would be tasked with making the people approaching the conference room, go away. I mean, they did make them sit in a comfy couch near the conference room, but they were never allowed to approach the conference room to listen to what was going on because it was a private affair. Now, what's bothering me is what happened to privacy and confidentiality. I do understand that I guess the Americans want to President Trump wants to make a good impression, but all he showed was his harshness. Like, did you see that? The way whenever President Zelensky was trying to speak his mind, they would try to cut him off. That really ticked me off the wrong way. That's not how you conduct a proper, polite discussion, especially one that's involved in politics and diplomacy. And that is my second point, is they never actually gave him a chance to speak. I know that they were also kind of tense, I guess. And yeah, I do understand that America is funding a lot of things up there in Europe. They do have a point that the USA has problems of its own, and they'd rather not spend it on other things, on foreign aid and all that. And I understand that perfectly. In fact, this will surprise you. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't feel that bad, for example, if the US doesn't support us here in the Philippines that much anymore. And it's not because I don't like the Americans, but I do understand that you got to take care of yourself first. You got to take care of your family first. I hope you guys understand, okay? This isn't an anti-American statement. It's just that I do hear news about poverty in the United States, especially I hear it happening in Florida, which is very close to a lot of other countries, and I can understand that might not work. So yeah, I understand if America can't help anymore, right there. But Trump and Vice President Vance didn't need to speak to President Zelensky that way. They could have just given him a flat no, like, no, we can't help you, or sorry, but in our good conscience, we can't support what you are proposing. You get what I mean? Or just a flat no. No, we can't help you. Sorry. See, that was short and simple. And I'm sure Mr. Zelensky will understand that. Another thing, like I said, they could have kept it in private and just, discuss the proceeds after the meeting. They didn't have to have all that media watching them. It seems to me like, okay, it's like they're deliberately berating and humiliating President Zelensky. And that is awful behavior for someone who is supposed to be a leader of a country. Imagine this, you're humiliating them, you're making fun of them. So that's just one of many things I think that we have. It's just one of those things that I wish they worked on a bit. Another thing is, they said that, couldn't they have at least shown a bit of courtesy to President Zelensky? And the way he was alone there, that doesn't paint a pretty picture, because you got all these guys who are Americans, President Trump, Vice President Vance, and that guy Rubio. Why was Zelensky by himself? He could actually maybe one of his bodyguards could have accompanied him. Like I said, going back to the company I worked with or worked for, you would at least get someone on your side to stand with you. They can be a supervisor, a team leader, or one of the MSIs or SMIs. Sorry about that. At least you'd have someone at your back. Heck, they could get Zelensky's wife to be with him. But no, they just left him there by himself, and he had to defend himself with just his English. And I found that kind of cruel, because couldn't he have an interpreter there with him to speak for him? See, in effect, at least visually speaking, it was like they were blocking him verbally. Since he can't speak English that well, it was like Trump and Vance was trying to talk over him. They found it very easy to talk over him because his English wasn't that good, and that really rubbed me off the wrong way. So yeah, I won't get into everything else because I don't really understand that situation that much. Like I said, I know very little of the geopolitical issues of the world today, but I really wish they had shown President Zelensky a little more respect. And while I do understand that America has its own problems, it didn't really need to get to that point, okay? Now, what did they say? Here's what I'll say, because people keep claiming that President Zelensky and the Ukraine are beggars, I won't support that notion, but I suppose most Americans are just trying to create a point with that. But here's the thing, though. You don't need to give money to every beggar you see on the street, but you don't need to kick them either. No one is requiring you to give them money, but you don't need to hurt them either. And what I saw in that meeting was plain old hurtfulness. It felt more like bullying than anything. So yeah, just had to add, like with me, like if you see my videos, I do post up stuff like requiring support and all that, but yeah, it's up to you. It's there, but I'm not requiring anyone to help. I'm not requiring anyone to send anything. My content is free, and yeah, you can. There's no problem with that. You don't need to get. You don't need to give if you don't want to. There's nothing. You really shouldn't, and it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to help. It's okay if you don't want to give anything, but you don't have to hurt people either. If you understand what I mean. Another thing I'll mention is that, since there's a lot of jokes circulating about our former president, Rodrigo Duterte, if it was him that President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were talking to, that might actually be amusing. But see, Zelensky came in and he was at least respectful. He at least listened whenever they were talking to him. Now, there was verbal collision, but that happened later when people finally got heated up and everything. But he never really tried to be. I don't know why they say he's being disrespectful. I think he was just getting emotional because of what his people are going through. And that's kind of understandable. I think it would have been more, I guess, courteous of the American politicians if they just heard him until the end, until he finished talking. Then they could tell him, well, we can't help you. You get? Understand? Anyway, that's it for this video. I really didn't want to make it because I'm not really that comfortable discussing politics and religion, especially on a worldwide scale, but some things just need to be said, that's all.